What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here. It's Dean 78904 if you want to get all technical. 2 hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation. I could say 2+ hours because officially first pitch tonight, I believe, is 7:07. That's the time we're looking at as far as lock. All eyes on baseball. Well, no eyes, at least on the NBA. The NBA is dark for the March Madness going on tonight, the March Madness final. So no NBA. Keith, are you doing projections for basketball tomorrow? I know there's 14 games. I hope for your sake you did not draw the short straw.
I did not, and I usually do the upload on Sunday night, but with NBA off today for the national championship, it was a nice night off. I did still have to do some baseball stuff, but no NBA upload tonight. It was beautiful.
That worked out spectacularly for you. So there you go. Sometimes it works out for you. But yeah, and all the way down to the bell. What Sunday, I believe, is the last day in the association. I think everybody plays on Sunday.
Yeah, that Saturday night upload is not going to be fun. So there's plenty of bad ones coming my way.
I got a spoiler for you too, Keith. Whatever you're uploading on Saturday night, it's going to be worthless at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever it is. You're going to do your best, and the people appreciate it. But a lot of shenanigans will be going down for sure the last day of the season. That, of course, is Keith Eister. We may or may not see the debut of Eister's Fleisters. Have we had any Fleisters this year? I'm not sure if that's happened or not. Maybe we'll see. You've talked a lot of basketball, I feel like. You haven't had a chance to talk a lot of baseball. You're probably excited to talk some baseball today.
Always excited to talk some baseball. Yeah, you're right. I've been covering basketball on Crunch Time. This is my first GrindersLive, so I believe this is my first official baseball show of the season.
Also joining us, the man who has his taters, the man who loves his fun. It's Tasteful Tides. Tim, happy Monday. How are things in your world?
I haven't given out one tater all season, but I'm going to give out 2 today on the show.
We have the graphic and everything. I feel like we've dropped the graphic. We falsely dropped the graphic and just teased.
Yeah, I have not given out a tater all season.
All right. So we got Fleisters, we got taters. Well, Dean's Dong's got to make an appearance as well. We have a pitcher that has officially been scratched. We got this news. There was speculation. I guess it's officially happening. Framber Valdez, 27-year-old rookie taking the bump tonight for Houston. Not a big time prospect, and like we saw the line move there as well. I don't know if you guys are watching the line movement. Texas also has become a favorite there against Houston, so that's going to shuffle some stuff up. I think it's a 4K pitcher on DK. What a weird slate for pitching, because I have no starting point, Keith, when it comes to pitchers. Like there's like 6 guys. I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll roster this person, but I don't love it. And that's like every single analysis. You could poke holes. We're getting Snell tonight. The debut of Blake Snell, a good matchup against Washington. Snell, his one big hiccup is he has trouble throwing strikes sometimes, which is a concern. But Washington is really, really impatient. I was looking at the numbers dating back to last season. I think they're the most impatient team when it comes to walks against lefties. So yeah, that is a good matchup. How far is he going to pitch into the game is kind of concerned to some degree. I think it was 70. Did he throw 70 pitches in the minor leagues as far as his last? What do you got there? I see you're shaking your head there, Tim. Was that the official number, 70 or 71? What are we expecting as far as pitch counts for Snell this evening?
Yeah, for Snell, I would say like 75 would be fair. I think he could potentially get up to a little over 80, but I would say 75 is like a good standard medium projection for him. But yeah, it's definitely like a tough situation with him and his price.
Yeah, the price is kind of a hiccup as well, too. Good ballpark, obviously. I don't know if it's going to be like an innings thing. If you want that QS, you want that quality starts on FanDuel. Of course, he's defending Cy Young winner in baseball. By the way, I saw this note. I talked about this on Sirius over the weekend. I guess if you were to guess, Keith, you probably know this. How many current active Cy Young winners are on the 26-man roster on a 26-man roster in baseball right now?
I have no idea.
Well, what is Snell? What is Snell? Yeah,
on the slate or just in the league?
No, not in the league. On a current active 26-man roster. So like,
but across the entire league.
Like Verlander would be. He's won a Cy Young, but he's a no.
DeGrom and Scherzer, like there's a lot of them injured. Like even opening day,
correct,
like pitching was way weaker than it typically is. Now we've had Strider injured and a couple of other like big pitching injuries. So it's a lower number than you would certainly expect. Like I would say most seasons is probably like 30, 40, and I'm going to go like 20 right now.
Okay. The answer is two. There's two. Two guys that have won the Cy Young are currently pitching in baseball or on a 26-man roster. Like Garrett Cole won it last year for the American League. He's not pitching. Verlander is obviously hurt. Robbie Ray's hurt. His pants are too tight. Shane Bieber is essentially done for the year as well. Verlander again. Snell's won it. The Kluber. We lost Corey Kluber. Rick Porcello, I believe, is out of baseball unless he's pitching somewhere I'm not aware of. Dallas Keuchel, ditto. I don't think he's throwing baseballs anymore for a living. Max Scherzer is hurt. David Price, I assume, is retired. I'm guessing he retired. Jumping to the National League. Snell, there's one. Sandy Alcantara, Tommy John. Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns is the second one, by the way. Corbin Burns is the second one. Trevor Bauer is not throwing baseballs here in Major League Baseball. DeGrom, he's hurt. Scherzer is hurt. Jake Arrieta, retired, I think. Is he somewhere pitching baseballs? Don't know. Kershaw is hurt. R.A. Dickey, Robert Allen Dickey. That knuckleball probably still works somewhere, but yeah, that's the list, Keith. Isn't that wild? And it speaks to just how it's a deeper conversation with all the injuries in baseball. And I was kind of listening to Verlander actually gave a really good response talking about all the nuances of why we're getting all these pitching injuries. For starters, like it's not a natural thing to throw fastballs like 100 miles per hour. Like that's probably going to hurt your elbow over a certain number of years. But, it's a deeper conversation, but yeah, I saw that the stat come across the old Twitter, and I was like, wow, just two guys. That's pretty mind blowing, isn't it? Just two?
Yeah, that's insane. Obviously, I was way, way high.
Yeah, Tim was thinking too. He's like, oh man, why didn't you ask me? Tim knew it the whole time, right, Tim?
I actually knew the answer because you tweeted it yesterday, right?
I tweeted it over I think maybe Friday or something like that because maybe Friday or Saturday or something like that.
Yeah, I actually
you have you have push notifications for my tweets. I would appreciate that, Tim.
No, I don't, but I did come across it.
They're talking about Jake Peavy. Did Jake Peavy win the Cy Young in 2007? He did. I'm guessing he's out of baseball. He's like 40, isn't he, Jake Peavy? I guess that doesn't stop Charlie Morton. Doesn't stop everybody from throwing baseballs professionally, but. Yeah, we care about DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports, which we go at today. We care about today and today only, and I wish Jake Peavy well and Verlander and his rehab and all that. We care about this slate. We also care about giving away RotoGrinders Premium, and we're giving that away because it's a Movie Monday. Get excited. How does Movie Monday work? I give away 5 clues progressively, 1 clue every like 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on, and you have to guess in the Discord and tell me what movie we're talking about. If you guess correctly, only 1 guess per movie per clue. So you got 1 guess and you make it count. If you're the first person to be correct, you get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. The very first clue is going to drop momentarily. Oh, by the way, where do you answer these questions? In the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. J3 says the people love Trivia Movie Monday. I cannot tell you how excited Tim was pre-show that it was a Movie Monday, that you could not wipe the smile off his face. The very first clue, we'll give the first clue out to the people. No, Casey Douglas, it is not Rush Hour 3. I'm not sure why Jim Abbott is being randomly mentioned in the chat, but that dude is incredible. Just a spectacular career, what he was able to accomplish. Very first clue, producer Steve's on top of it, is cheese. Cheese. There you go. Do with that what you will. Cheese is the number 1 clue. You guys feel free to play the home version, right? Don't officially give the answer because that'll ruin the game, but feel free to play along. All right. We did lose Framber Valdez. I want a screenshot as far as the slate here, Keith, before we dive in. Going to talk pitchers, going to talk stacks, going to see what's up in the chat as well. We have a Coors game. Arizona close to 6 as far as a total there against Kyle Freeland. Just 1 lefty in that bullpen lurking. If you're doing some math, kind of figuring out stuff later on in the game. Julio Teheran revenge game at Atlanta, probably not going to go very well, but he's back. Shout out to Julio Teheran taking on the Braves. I assume we're going to bump up Texas bats because Houston is throwing a person named Blair Henley, 27-year-old rookie. He's never pitched in the majors before, which is kind of a sign that there's a reason why he hasn't pitched in the majors before. I think he had some injuries too. Did anybody get a chance to do? I just learned about this before the show, like a deep dive into Blair Henley. Doesn't look very good. But I kind of took a peek at the stats, and I was not impressed. Keith, you have a thought as far as what we're expecting in a Blair Henley?
I mean, I don't think anybody had heard this name before he was announced as the replacement for Framber Valdez. Not a prospect. He's older, like you said, almost 27 years old. He's been around for a while too. Drafted way back in 2019. Looking at the minor league stuff, there's some strikeouts there. I was reading about a really good curveball, really high spin rate. But he has major control issues. He has made one AAA start. He was in AA most of last season. I don't know. This is a desperation move from the Astros. I think he was just on his normal rest, and he's like, "Yep, this is the guy who's getting the call today." But not a prospect at all. I don't know what to think about it. The curveball is the one intriguing thing. I will say that maybe there's some swing and miss stuff. Maybe he refined that as he's risen up the minors, and they, like Houston as an organization, might believe that he's actually found something and is about to take a big leap forward this year. So I am intrigued, but the minor league stuff is certainly not impressive.
By the way, a great comment in chat. Cool Guy Bobby says, Soler home run on solar eclipse day. I know it's like pronounced differently, but I might be stealing that later for a dong, because I do like the Giants, and I wanted to pick on Trevor Williams. And I said before that Jorge Soler is going to have the quietest 40 home runs this season. Like nobody's ever going to talk about Jorge Soler. He's going to have 40 home runs, and that's that.
FanDuel has it boosted to plus 500 today. If you're into that.
Oh, because of Soler? Is that the reason? Did they pick it just for fun?
I assume.
Good job,
yeah.
FanDuel. Yeah. Who else would work in that? Is there Moonlight Graham? Is he still playing baseball? No, he retired like in 1920 or so, right? Field of Dreams. I'm trying to think who else. In chat, let us know. Who else would work in the old theme? Did anybody by chance leave the house or look out the window and try to see the eclipse of some sort? You guys acknowledge that?
I did, yeah.
And?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. We got 97.
This is idea of fun. Right in Tim's wheelhouse here.
Yeah. Well, once every 43 years, I like to have funding. So yeah, we got 97% coverage, which is pretty awesome.
You take any pictures? You tweet them out for the people? Anything like that? Or no. Let's not Kevin
push
Roth
it. Don't push
made a
it.
whole road trip out of it. I think that's the reason why Roth has been out the last couple of days. He tweeted about it as well. So I'm pretty sure he made a road trip to, was it Arkansas that had like supposedly really good coverage? That's today's poll question, Steve. Today's poll question: did you look outside? Did you look at the eclipse? We should have like a yes, and yes, it was worth it. Yes, it was. No, whatever. No, yes, it stunk, or just no. Who cares? I don't know. But I wonder if the people in chat are talking about they went out and saw. King Mana said, I slept through the eclipse. All right. A little mid-afternoon nap. Shout out for the naps. All right. Yeah. Sunny Gray, by the way, is a good one. Sunny Gray, is it the Sunny? Yeah, sure. And that's a nice little recommendation in the chat as well. There's got to be some more names that we're not thinking about just yet. Okay. Keith, give me your overview as far as this slate. Core slate always changes things, obviously. Texas gets a boost taking on Henley. Atlanta looks really good. They always look really good. Like Miles Michaelis, the Phillies get the pick on him. He's not going to miss any bats. I know it's a downgrade as far as their ballpark, but they're kind of sort of somewhat sneaky. The Dodgers are playing. Do people care the Dodgers are playing? They should care because it's the Dodgers and Bailey Ober. I know he's a complete disaster to start the season. Kind of people expect him to right to ship, but you're locked in for 9 for the Dodgers, and they're kind of going to be lost in this slate. Give me your overview. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I think bats are pretty obvious. Obviously, Arizona and Coors stands out, and Atlanta stands out as they typically do against Julio Teheran. They stand out against it in any matchup, but when you throw somebody like Julio Teheran at him, Atlanta is definitely one of the top stacks. And those two jumped off the page right away as soon as you start looking at the slate. I think you can add Texas in there now with this unknown starting pitcher as well. So for me, it's pretty obvious what to do with stacks. Those 3 are pretty clearly above everybody else, but there's still some upside throughout the slate. I love the mention of the Dodgers at low ownership. Philly is certainly intriguing as well. San Francisco is facing a terrible pitcher. There's plenty of other upside that's not going to be owned at all. But for me, the top 3 offenses are so good, it's just going to be hard to get to them. As it is for the rest of the field. But if you're feeling like playing contrarian with the bats, today is a great day to be able to do that. There are plenty of teams that should be lower owned. On the pitching side, it is just one big jumble of mess. Like
It's tough, right?
You can poke holes in every single starter on the slate, and I think we're going to see this. Like we already have, and we're going to continue to see this way more than we have because of all the pitcher injuries. Like there just isn't that many aces in baseball that are left, and the aces that are on this slate have issues. Blake Snell, pitch count and price. Zach Gallen is in Coors. Luis Castillo has a low strikeout Toronto offense. Like these are all really good pitchers, but there's some context around them today that don't make them really comfortable plays. So personally for me, I'm going to play pretty chalky bats, and I'm not going to be afraid to throw any starting pitcher at the wall pretty much. Not any. I'm certainly not playing Kyle Freeland or Miles Michaelis, but there are some uncomfortable names that are going to be thrown out that I think you have to consider.
Are you making your standard 20 lineups that we're doing today?
DK had that $3 150 max. I threw 50 in that, so I have about 55 lineups for me today.
Okay, so you might add another pitcher or two into that pool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got the single entry. I'm in the 121. I threw a couple in the $88 too, so spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, and I agree with it's funny. The bats are like more, higher variance, obviously, but to me it's like 6 or 7 teams basically, and that's it. I mean, I think I'm just going to keep the 6 or 7 teams, just kind of shuffle through them. But I'm curious, Tim, you make one lineup, right? One main lineup. It's a tough day for one main lineup. Do you not see it that way? That's the way I see it.
It definitely is a tough day for one lineup. But yeah, it's super easy to like chop off about, I think, 6 pitchers off the slate and just, throw them away. But after that, it gets kind of complicated as to what you want to do with your pitchers, because nobody's really super chalky. Like the last update we had Darvish at 40% ownership. Like if he's really going to be yeah, I don't like that at all. Like if he's really going to be 40%, then I'm definitely going to fade that in single entry GPPs. We're showing Eflin as the top projected pitcher, and I actually like that quite a bit. I love taking pitchers against the Angels. He's showing up as the 3rd highest owned pitcher, which is not horrible. He's 9K, so I'm definitely starting with Eflin. But SP2, I really could make a case for probably 5 or 6 guys, and I really wouldn't hate it at all. So, it's going to be hard for me to exactly pinpoint who I want to use at SP2.
I'm pulling up our ownership stuff now. Let's see. Yeah, we got Barrios. I have Barrios at 28%. Somebody said, do I need to hit refresh?
We may have just gotten an update. I'm not sure.
Maybe I hit refresh like a minute. I'm always refreshing throughout the show. So Let's see. We got ownership at 455. So, okay. And this is DK for what it's worth. You got a roster 2 on DK. Pitching wise, our most popular pitcher that I'm seeing is Darvish at 40%. Yeah, which is
that's so high.
It's a revenge game. Barrios, he's cheap. I think what's getting him popular and mostly is the savings. 7-1 on DK, 28%. Eflin, Keith, is this just going to be the Eflin? He's not going to get pushed too hard by Tampa, and he's not going to go beyond like 90 pitches or so. It's kind of the Tampa way. They go to their bullpens, quicker than most. But the matchup against the Angels, I know he's not at home in Tampa, which is a nice ballpark, but this one doesn't scare us either. And outside Trout, we know the Angel lineup is a complete disaster. Is that basically, I just want you to throw a few more pitches is kind of where I'm at, but beggars and choosers, I suppose, and it's kind of baked into the price a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think he's going like 100 pitches or anything. I think he's going to live in that mid-80s range. Like you said, it's kind of just an organizational philosophy with Tampa. But I want to talk about the boost that he received going to Tampa. Like Tampa is one of the premier pitching development organizations in the game. We've seen them bring starting pitchers to the top, get the most out of every starting pitcher that's in their organization. Guys like Jeffrey Springs, Drew Rasmussen, Zach Littell.
Pepio. What about Pepio?
Yeah, Pepio's a guy you got to be really excited about.
LA.
Yeah, what do you have 11 strikeouts yesterday?
11 or 12. I know it was Colorado, but it was Coors. But he was a big prospect there coming from the Dodgers. Dodgers, obviously wanted to make a move, open stuff up. They theoretically had enough arms. But yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I was I got excited about that because that was so rare to see. a prospect do that, or anybody do that in Coors Field, strike out that many. But yeah, feel free to complete your thought when it comes to Eflin and where are you going to be as far as Eflin? 18-20%? Is that about right for you?
I'm going to be significantly over the field. Eflin is my favorite pitcher on the entire slate. The 26% strikeout rate that he posted with Tampa Bay looks really good, well above average. The Angels lineup is really poor. Losing Ohtani, obviously, there's just not a ton of punch there. So even though he's only probably going to throw mid 80s on the pitches, I still think he can get through at least 6 innings with upside for 7. The Angels strike out quite a bit, so I think there's plenty of strikeout upside. And he posted the best walk rate of his career last season at an elite 3.5%. So, like, this is a legitimate starting pitcher. I'm with you. I wish the pitch count was a little higher to raise the ceiling, but I love the matchup, and I'm excited about the pitcher and the organization that he's with.
Angels lineup just came out, by the way. Rendon continues to lead off. Moniak. Rendon, Moniak. Oh, here's my Trout. Let's have him at third. Sure. Ward, Sano, Drury, Rengifo, Ohapi, and Neto for the Angels. Padres, we got Bogarts, Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado, Profar, Kim, Campusano, and the prospect Merrill. Oh, Wade is batting 9th. You were talking about this, Tim, as I was jumping. You guys were having a conversation about it. The 4K pitcher here. I see TJ in chat hanging out. TJ Zwarych, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatchewan, Canada, as well as Bobby Gomes. I assume Bobby likes to play with his sim stuff, and he's talked. They're both talking about running out the 4K pitcher, which they both heard of, their existence, myself included, all of us included, I think, about an hour ago. That's just funny how baseball works sometimes. The opportunity cost isn't massive, right? I don't think anybody's gonna really break the slate from a pitching perspective. I suppose Snell can go out there and go 5 innings and strike out 10 and 85 pitches. That's something he can do. But I just feel like some of these guys are going to get 18, 20, and I don't know if you need that. Now, of course, if this dude for the Astros, Henley, puts up 9, if you tell me he's going to give me 9, no more, no less, I'll take him. Give me 9 points. No more, no less. It could also be a complete disaster. He was pitching against.
Could be negative 9.
I'm worried about the control with him. Double-digit walk rate in AA last year. He's got really bad control. So this could be a very, very, very short outing for him. I agree with you though. Give him 9 points. Yeah, that's fine. Totally. But I don't think he's gonna get that. So I'm not gonna be paying 4K. If I'm building 150, maybe I make 5 of him, maybe 3 to 5 teams with him, but he's not somebody that I don't want to get a lot of at all.
I was looking at the Houston bullpen, and I was curious if somebody who with the long man would be. Just trying to see yesterday. I mean, it's not going to be Hader, it's not going to be Presley, it's not going to be Abreu. Montero's pitched back-to-back days. Brandon Belak looks like the guy that will kind of be the piggyback. I see you nodding your head, Keith. Have you already looked into this?
I have not looked into it, but Belak, I mean, he's made starts in the majors before, so that certainly makes sense that he's the long man.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Taylor Scott pitched a couple days ago through 10 pitches. Seth Martinez for 17 a few days ago. He's fresh, but I think Belak's probably the guy that would if they need somebody to knock out 3 or 4 innings, if things completely fall apart, he probably is the guy that bites the bullet. He pitched in the 5th and threw 63 pitches. He hasn't pitched since. Just kind of thinking ahead if it's kind of a disaster. And he was throwing balls in AA against dudes 7, 8 years younger than him. That's the part. His stats better be good. He's 27 years old, facing 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are not complete projects. Look, and what is Framber hurt, or it's just they want to give Ray an extra rest day? I guess it doesn't really matter for our purposes, but the way it was reported by the beat was basically talking about they just want to rest some guys possibly. But yeah, this feels like not a good spot in Texas. The tough lineup. I know there's some guys that were in the minor leagues last year for Texas, like Wyatt Langford, Evan Carter, but these are legit, real good hitters. And Seager, Semien, Garcia, Jared Walsh is the kind of guy that can beat up on a 27-year-old career minor leaguer. I can see him getting an old one there. It's really interesting, and the point is that I saw Bobby and TJ talking about the prospect of rostering Henley because it gets you quote unquote all the bats, but we want those 9 points, and I don't know if we're going to get those 9 points. What is our projection for him? I'm pulling it up now. What are we giving this guy?
I'm trying to find him. I don't think he's in projections yet.
Okay.
I think there's an issue with linking him to the site at the moment.
Yeah.
He's in projections. Yeah. Actually, I can backdoor a projection for you real quick here if you want.
But let's set a line. Tim, I'm going to throw out a number, and I'm going to say his median projection is 7.2.
That's a good line.
You got over or under?
That's a really good line.
That's his DK projection, right?
Yeah. That's a good question. Yes.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go under.
We have him projected to throw 72 pitches, about 4 innings, and a DK projection of 9.41.
What?
It's more.
Wow.
It's more pitches than I thought they'd give him. So that makes sense.
They're obviously still talking about it behind the scenes. That's by no means a final projection, but that is currently what's in there right now. We'll see what it comes into the site as.
If that is what it is, and again, obviously their projections, you got to put a number and everything, and they are what they are, and it's a median projection, and there's a lot of variance. I would take that if you can guarantee me 9 and change, no more, no less. I would just take the under on it. I don't know, knowing nothing. I just know that Texas offense is good. Maybe first time around, like there's some sort of edge, like seeing somebody first time around is kind of tough. Maybe second time around they hammer him a bit, but he's pretty clean the first time through. I don't know. Where is he as far as your you said 50 lineups today, Keith? He's in the pool, I assume, or no?
Yeah, he's going to be in the pool. I don't expect it to go well, but he just lets you do. It's the lineup construction. There's no other way to make that lineup essentially, unless you're playing a reliever or something, which I'm not into. I know this guy's throwing baseballs today, so I'll take some shots on him. Let's see where the ownership number comes in at. I don't feel comfortable if he's going to be popular, but I don't think he will be. I think a lot of people are going to see Texas and run away.
Don Yeezy says there's better punts than Henley in other positions, meaning just like punting as far as hitters, I guess is what he's talking about. Some cheap hitters. I suppose that's the route he's discussing. Yeah, Chenal did not make that Angels lineup. I see Chenal just getting kicked out of projections. Rangifo in for the Angels. Tim, can you power rank?
For Eflin? Chenal is a high contact, low strikeout guy, so that's a boost to Eflin for me.
Yeah. See what it says as far as the plate IQ, but I'm sure projections will change a little bit. Did you get any sides or totals or any player prop stuff, Keith? I know you're all over. Who was the one that got us the other day? We were right there, and they gave him the quick hook.
The squad ride was absolutely brutal. Garrett Crochet was looking awesome through 4 innings, had 5 strikeouts. We had over 5.5. Comes out for the 5th and gets hit around a little bit. And the stupid White Sox pull him at 77 pitches. I'm still tilting about that. Thanks for bringing it up, Dean.
Sorry. Yeah, I was on it too. And look, I don't want to be fair to the White Sox. I don't want to be fair to the White Sox. They're a terrible organization. They're going nowhere. Robert's out for the season. They're a horrendous organization. This Crochet guy has barely pitched in the last couple of years due to injuries. Like, there really is no reason to push him. But that's partially why the number was so low. Obviously, it's kind of baked in. But they really shouldn't be pushing that guy to throw 95 pitches. And he's going to get shut down almost definitely at some point this season because, why? Why would you keep throwing him out there? All right, I apologize, Keith. We'll get you back on track. Do you have any sort of redemption, any player props, any pitcher props that are worth acknowledging? You're kind of keeping an eye on?
I didn't actually get to see if the squad ride hit. I know we were on Tanner Banks under 1.5 strikeouts, and he's like an opener type.
It did not even.
Oh, too bad.
Well, I was on it. Yeah,
it was plus money under 1.5. It was a really fun bet, like a super quick sweat. But better luck next time.
1 inning, 2 strikeouts. I'm not sure if he's going to stick around or not, but that was enough. Cleveland. I was told Cleveland is. He struck out Quan. Really, Quan? Wow. Seriously? You're supposed to ground out. Unbelievable. That's disappointing. Well, so much.
I don't have anything. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, we'll get him tomorrow. But I didn't see if I didn't notice if you specifically wrote somebody up for scores and odds today. I guess not.
I don't have any official plays today. I do lean over on Zach Eflin at 6.5 strikeouts. It's plus money. plus 135 on DraftKings is the best number I'm seeing right now. I'm into that. I think I will personally bet that one, but I'm not going to write it up as an official play.
Tim, you got anything
for props?
Yeah.
I got Corbin Carroll plus 700 on DK to hit a home run.
Oh.
Yeah. So
left on left, but yeah, it's a pretty good number.
Yeah, it's such a good number. And then Brayson Stott plus 775 to hit a home run. Those are the two homer props that I bet.
Another one
I like
Spencer Turnbull is sitting at 4.5 strikeouts. We're going to have to talk about this guy. Plus money on the over for him too. Actually even money now. It was plus money earlier in the day, but I have a lean to Spencer Turnbull over 4.5 strikeouts.
Is he, he's a, post-type sleeper, right? Once upon a time, he was a big-time prospect. Didn't really work out in Detroit. Has he changed his pitch mix? What are you seeing with him now that you brought him up?
Yeah. So it's his fastball is what I'm interested in, and his curveball as well. But the fastball, so StatCast has it graded as a 4-seam fastball. FanGraphs has it tracked as a cut fastball. Either way, the underlying numbers on it look pretty good. Hasn't generated a ton of whiffs yet this year, but 22% whiffs, 22.5 last year with a 22% put away rate. That's pretty decent. It's not elite by any means. He doesn't throw super hard. He's living around 91 this year, which leads me to believe that he is throwing that with some type of serious movement on it, because he used to throw like 93, 94, but he's reshaped his fastball essentially, and his curveball looks like it's taking a huge step forward this season. Only one start to work with, obviously, but he generated a 75% whiff rate. He only threw it 12% of the time, but 75% whiff rate, 33% put away rate, and he recorded, let me see here, it was 2 of his 7 strikeouts in his opening start. But he looked really good, and I'm intrigued by the pitch data that I'm seeing. So I don't know if it's real or not, but on this slate, I'm certainly willing to roster him in DFS.
I never really know the exact moment, Keith, and it depends, right? Because a lot of these pitchers are changing their pitch mix, they're changing velocities, their approach. But I like to use last year's data, and I combine it with this year's data. But I always want to keep an eye on any sort of outliers, anything's completely different. Is it sort of case by case? You're still looking back to last year? I assume as like a, kind of like a barometer, kind of like this is where they were, and 2 starts. What are we going to get from 2 starts? Like all of a sudden, is Kevin Gausman terrible? I know his velocity's been down, but at what point do you also want to be reactive and you want to be trying to beat people to it? So it's kind of that push pull. And I also don't want to overreact. So do you have a general rule on that, or is it just sort of case by case, or it's we'll make the exception if it's very clear this person changed their approach, their pitch mix, their velocity? How do you handle all that?
It is certainly case by case, and you have to be constantly looking at this stuff to identify it quickly. Cole Reagans is my favorite example of this. When he came over to KC, you immediately saw like a 3.5 to 4 mile an hour jump in his velocity, and he started throwing a slider that he had never thrown before. When I see things like that, I believe it's real. Garrett Crochet this year has a new cutter that has looked really good. But before he was basically a 2-pitch pitcher with a fastball and a slider. Adding that cutter in as kind of an in-between the fastball and the slider just makes it that much more difficult for him to hit. So anytime I see a new pitch that's showing good numbers in StatCast, I am extremely intrigued by that pitcher. Turnbull is not that type of case. Like I said, the velocity is down compared to where it was last year. It's the curveball that really has me intrigued. The spin rate's up a little bit, but it's 1 start. So I have no idea if this is real or not, but it's just something that I have my eye on.
By the way, we do have Henley is now currently in lineup HQ. His current ownership projection is 0.01%. That is going to change. I'm not on the projection team, but I can say with certainty that is going to change. Also, what's going to change is the clues for our movie game. Tell me what movie we're talking about. You get yourself a week free of RG Premium. First clue was cheese. Second clue is bar mitzvah. Cheese and bar mitzvah. Now, where do you answer this? You answer this in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Go to the live stream chat channel. If you answer first correctly, you get yourself a week free of RG Premium. If you can't win it that way, well, maybe you can splurge. It's a good time to get yourself some RG Premium. NBA, PGA, NCAA, March Madness going down tonight, NHL. I know Tim's excited about the hockey playoffs. Maybe my Bruins, your Bruins, will take on my Panthers in the Eastern Conference. We'll see how that works out. Go Panthers. 6 months. 6 months combo subscription. You get yourself a deal at $469.99. Now, how does that work? If you're to pay a la carte every single month, January, February, March, April, you're going to save $250 off the month-to-month price if you want to commit for 6 months. If you don't want to commit, you want to commit at all, get yourself 3 days. 3 days, that's a small commitment. $19.99, get yourself a 3-day pass. Also get access to SimLabs. SimLabs, you guys know, the expert DFS lineup generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs, now available for baseball in beta. And because it's beta, you don't actually need an RG subscription as of right now. It is currently free. I don't know when it's going to come out of beta. When it comes out of beta, it's gone for you unless you have access. But do feel free to Keith is guessing in the chat. You know what's so funny, Keith? Your guess is the same thing that Devin guessed. I love it. I love you and Devin. You're wrong, but I appreciate the participation. No, that was Steve's guess. Okay, so Steven, I run it by Steve and Devin. I knew one of them guessed that, and it was not The Wedding Singer. The movie is not The Wedding Singer, but I think hopefully it's going to become more and more clear what our movie is. And producer Steve's got his eye on the Discord. He'll let me know if and when somebody takes it down. I trust that somebody is going to guess this. We got 5 clues. I'll set the over-under. I don't want to set the line. I don't want to manipulate things, but I feel like we might get it on the next one. We'll see. Stay tuned. All right. Other pitchers that we're acknowledging you want to talk about. Blake Snell. Do you have an official Blake Snell take, Tim? How do we feel about Snell today? Is it just like a salary thing?
I think he's too expensive. I think the medium pitch count is too low for that price. It's a good matchup, but I think he's just too expensive. If he was in that Eflin range at like 9K or like the Darvish range at like 85, I'd be fine with it. But 10K for Snell, or 10.3, excuse me, I think that's just way too much. So our last Sims, like his opto percentage is extremely low. So I can't imagine it's going to go up any with the new update. So I'm out on Snell.
Cubs lineup just dropped. Happ leading off. Suzuki, Bellinger, Morel, Swanson, Bush, Horner, Tauchman, and Amaya. This is your team, Keith, that we approve. I feel like I moaned, and I was probably annoying about it last year for Morel. Remember he was batting 9th for a good chunk of the season? Outrageous. Very upset by that. But now he's found himself essentially in the 4 spot. We've seen Horner is dipped kind of like sometimes leading off, sometimes batting 5th or 6th or so. Is he if a lefty starts, would he lead off? Is that what happens there typically?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, he's been leading off against lefties, I think.
So do we like this lineup? I think this was as expected, except for Gomes taking a seat and Amaya the backup, right? Otherwise, that's pretty standard.
Yep, looks pretty standard to me.
All right. Other pitchers that we want to talk about that we should acknowledge. Trying to think if there's anybody else. Oh, yeah. So the 5 or 6 that we're just kind of throwing out, Keith, let's do that, right? The ones that we're not going to be pitching. We can just kind of work backwards, I suppose, when it comes to the pitchers in the slate. Stop me if you disagree. We're throwing out Freeland, and Tim, feel free to stop me as well. We're throwing out Kyle Freeland. He's not in the bucket. Tehran and all his revenge, not in the bucket. Andrew Heaney, I don't think Andrew Heaney's in the bucket. Not in the bucket. Not in the bucket. Trevor Williams.
He would be in the bucket for me if I was making 150.
Okay,
but not a lot.
50.
Not a lot, but I would have a couple Heanies just because he has such high strikeout ability. I know it's a terrible matchup, but he does have a ceiling, I think. So he would be in my pool if I was making 150.
I saw somebody in chat messing Trevor Williams. So go ahead, Keith. What do you got?
No, I was just gonna. It's the matchup for me. Like he's generally a pitcher I don't mind rostering when he's low owned because he does have that high strikeout ability. But Houston's like the worst possible matchup for a left-handed pitcher. They don't strike out hardly at all. Their 2 best their 2 best hitters are left-handed who happen to hit lefties extremely well. I just am not going to use a left-handed pitcher against Houston.
I'm being told to look at the BBP for Tehran versus Zuna.
Oh yeah,
I would.
It's like I don't ever look at it, but like this has to mean something. It's out of control.
Well, typically Tehran is more vulnerable to lefties historically. Ozuna being a righty, but his Okay, I'm pulling it up now. Let's see. We're halting the show for this. Let's see.
Luch is the one that actually dropped it to me in my DMs today, just because it was that outrageous.
Is Luch a secret BBP guy? I know it's like almost like, I don't want to say you're embarrassed about it. Some people don't like, they don't, it's like watching wrestling. They don't want to admit to it, but they do it. I don't know. I don't know why I say that.
I don't think he's like on the chop level, but I think it's something that he looks at.
By the way, Jose Abreu, 4 homers against Andrew Heaney, for what it's worth. Abreu no longer the hitter he once was, and that's part of the flaw. We're going to poke holes here in BBP. 5 hits and 20 at-bats, 4 homers, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. Let's see, Ozuna, 19 hits and 54 ABs, 12 singles, 3 doubles, 4 homers, a slug of 630. Okay. Ketel Marte is 3 homers, 17 hits versus Kyle Freeland. He's going to be popular tonight. Joey Gallo has hit a couple homers off Snell in just 5 at-bats. That's kind of interesting. 3 for 5, a single and 2 homers. Only 1 strikeout, which is noteworthy, I think. Only 1 strikeout and 5 at-bats. But there you go. There's your BBP segment of the day. One of the pitchers is we're kicking out of the pool. Williams, I saw somebody ask about Trevor Williams. I'm playing the Giants way before I'm playing Trevor Williams. Too many home runs. I know he's kind of protected by that ballpark in San Fran. It's an awesome ballpark jump for him, but he's still pretty bad. Only 1 lefty in that bullpen there for Washington. So I'm actually not terribly afraid to play Wade. I typically don't play him, but he's somebody that I'm considering as a cheapie. Lamont Wade, I should say. There's several Wades on this slate, but I was talking about Lamont, not Tyler. I'm not playing Tyler Wade for the record. Yeah, all right. And again, feel free to stop me if there's anybody else you want to keep in the bucket. Tyler Anderson, no. Michaelis, no. Assad is kind of a no for me. Okay. You mentioned Turnbull. Ober. We're not throwing Ober against the Dodgers. We're not doing that, right? Especially off that disaster first start. 40-year-old Charlie Morton. 40-year-old Charlie Morton?
Yeah, I could play some Morton.
Keith, do you have any Mikolas?
No Mikolas for me.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about? He just doesn't get any strikeouts,
No, I know, but he's 53. He's 5,300. So, but I mean, I do love the Phillies today. Also, I was just curious, making 50 or 150 teams. But yeah.
Kingmaker says, I don't know if this is a typo. Or, don't be a Zid, Dean. What is a Zid? Do I know? Should I know what that is? Is that a slang term? I don't know what that is, but I'm not intentionally. I'm not being.
Whatever it is, don't do it, Dean. Okay.
All right. I apologize. Yeah. And Kirkwood saying, I hope I'm not saying anything. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that word is. Jose Barrios. Is that bad chalk, Keith? 28%. He's just cheap. It's bad chalk, right? It's kind of bad chalk.
I think it is bad chalk. Seattle strikes out a ton, so it is a very high upside matchup. I'm not Xing him completely out yet. I thought I would be today when I first opened the slate. The strikeouts are certainly intriguing, but Seattle is pretty left-handed, and the power difference against lefties for Barrios is a little concerning. They only had 4 in there. I think we had 5 projected. Oh no, Polanco's switch hitter. So they are 5 lefties against him. He does strike out more lefties than righties, but he allows a lot more power to lefties. So it is an extreme boom bust spot. And since he's going to be popular, I'm going to be under the field on it. I probably won't completely X him out because there is some strikeout upside, but I'll be under the field for sure.
Do hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. I know when TJ comes on, he's going to have Spidey bombs. We're going to get some taters from Tim, possibly some fleisters from Keith. Dean's Dogs.
I already gave my taters.
We got to tease them, though. The people, they don't watch the entire show. They come in throughout. They sprinkle
I already gave them out.
That's a rookie mistake. You don't open the show like, here's the goods.
You asked me for props.
Well, props and taters are 2 different things. You could have given a prop of
I gave out the taters. Pitched. You wanted props. That's what I gave the people. Yeah.
Kim, Keith, when I say I want props, I'm not clearly saying give me a homer, right? And you can interpret that however you wish.
He did give you a home run prop though. Like he answered your question.
I gave you 2.
But that's up to the listener to like say, oh, wait a second, I can turn that into a tater, right? It wasn't. I didn't see the tater picture on the screen. Is all I'm saying. Producer Steve did not get that message.
You can blame Steve for that.
Oh, well, now you're throwing Steve under the bus. I'm not doing it. You're doing that. I would never do that. Steve keeps us on the air. By the way, apparently Zid is a contrarian, which I've never heard. It's a word. It's a popular word in Scrabble. So, yeah, I did not know this. If you're stuck with a Z in Scrabble, you can use ZID. Contrarian, conflicting. All right, learn something new every single day in this show. So, yeah, any other thoughts as far as pitching, Tim? Are you officially locked in on 2 on your main lineup, or is it one of those deals where you kind of maybe make your stack first, and it's like which 2 pitchers fit?
I basically have it narrowed down to Gallen, Castillo, or Turnbull, depending on how many bats I want to get to. So it's going to be one of those guys, and then I already have Eflin in.
Yeah, that's. I'm still up on the air. I don't have a shell lineup even complete. It's just, I mean, I think I'm thinking about my bats first and kind of whichever pitchers fit next. But Paxton threw 97 pitches in his last start. If that is repeated, Paxton long injury history. I think he's in his 30s or so. He's the guy they want to keep healthy. Obviously, I wouldn't expect that to continue every single game going forward, but that was promising. Keith, Paxton, he's got to be in the pool, right? If we get 95 pitches out of Paxton.
Yeah, Paxton is certainly in the pool. Strikeout rate being down in his first start, a little concerning. He's obviously getting up there in age, has dealt with several injuries. And Minnesota is better against lefties as well. They're extremely strikeout heavy against righties, not quite as much against lefties. But I do still have some interest there. The 97 pitches, like you said, is very intriguing.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the plate IQ, and I want to see what we're seeing as far as the matchup you're talking about there as far as Minnesota. Let's see. I use the current and last season as well. Margot leading off. They're not going left on. Julien taking a seat today, lurking on that bench. Margot will strike out 23%. Jeffers at 25%. Buxton 32%. You got Vasquez in there at 29%. So, yeah, I mean, Austin Martin, he's got 0 at bats. That doesn't really count. But Correa, pretty contact heavy versus lefties and shown to power against lefties as well. All right. Is there anybody we missed as far as pitching, Keith? Is there somebody in your pool that we have? Have we talked about Luis Castillo? We kind of mentioned him in passing. Darvish,
yeah, Castillo and Gallen have been mentioned, but we didn't really dive too deep on them.
Give me the Gallen take. Coors Field, a lot of times people just stay away, but these Rockies aren't very good. Gallen has not been totally Gallen just yet, fully sharp. But maybe Colorado is that's the cure.
Yeah, we've talked about how there's not a lot of aces left in baseball. Gallen is a true ace, and is on DK especially, where he's priced down at 8,200. I know it's Coors Field. I just don't care. This Rockies offense is terrible. He did face him on opening day and was not spectacular, so that is a little concerning. His history at Coors Field is actually really strong. He has an 11 strikeout game in there. It was back in 2022. But he's pitched well at Coors throughout his career. And this Colorado offense is as bad as it has ever been. Colorado had a much better offense in 22 than they do now. So I on DK, where he's only 8,200, I have Gallen's as high owned almost as Eflin for me.
Highest opto rate on the slate, Zach Gallen. So I mean, I really love him today. 82 is way too cheap.
Yep, I agree.
So your one lineup, you're okay throwing out Gallen if it works. Everything else kind of makes sense. Yeah, I'm okay too.
Definitely.
That's kind of where I'm at as well. Still waiting for. Trying to see what lineups we're waiting for. Is it the Rays? Do we not have a Rays lineup? I don't think we do. And no Nationals lineup. Otherwise, yeah, Giants. We got. It's Lee, Flores, Wade, Soler. We talked about Soler for the narrative with the eclipse going down. Chapman, Yastrzemski, Estrada, Bailey, and Ahmed. I really don't like the back end of that order, but the front end I feel pretty good about. Yastrzemski is a cheapie against Trevor Williams. I think there's a pretty good chance he sticks around the entire game. Just one lefty in that Washington bullpen. We're waiting for Tampa against Tyler Anderson. I wonder if we're probably not going to get Lau, right? The second baseman, because he's a lefty against Anderson. Is that? I guess we're not anticipating him to play, but all right. We'll keep an eye on that if any more lineups come sprinkling on through. But let's give a kind of a your full thought process in a concise way, Keith, when it comes to pitching. If somebody is tuned in right now, give them the summary when it comes to arms.
Yeah, it's a jumbled mess today. So for that reason, I'm going to be underweight on the chalk. Darvish against the Cubs. Cubs offense has been really solid to start this season. We'll get into that a little bit more on the stack side. But 40% is just too much for me. I'm going to be under the field there. Berrios is the other guy who's popping too much. He's cheap. There's some strikeout potential in the matchup, but I'll be under the field on that ownership as well. My two favorites are Zach Eflin, great matchup against the Angels. Zach Gallen in Coors. I believe that he's an elite starting pitcher. Colorado offense is terrible. I imagine I'm going to be pitching pitchers in Coors way more than I ever have in the past throughout the duration of the season. So Zach Gallen, I'm going to be well over the field. Spencer Turnbull would be my favorite value option as a pivot off of Berrios. Very encouraging first start with 7 strikeouts. Underlying data looked good. And then we have the 4K cheapie throwing baseballs against Texas, which is extremely terrifying, but he's 4K and allows you to do roster construction things that nobody else does. That's the main guys in my pool. And then I will sprinkle in Castillo, Paxton, Morton. That about covers it. Just hunting some upside there.
Tim, what do you want to add to that?
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, Eflin is definitely my SB1. And then it's really a debate in my mind between Gallen and Castillo. I'm leaning Gallen right now. I also like Turnbull quite a bit. I don't like Berrios chalk. I don't like Darvish chalk. Usually I don't mind the chalk pitchers, but tonight I'm off of Darvish and Berrios.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm willing to play the chalk pitchers, but I just don't really think I don't think that Darvish is like distinctly better than like 4 or 5 or 6 other guys. So there's no reason. He's fine, and it's not a besmirch, but like there's no reason to think he's distinctly better than some of these guys. I was looking to see if this Henley guy is available on FanDuel. Is he not even in the pool over there?
I don't think he's in the pool, Dean. I'm pretty
There's
sure
no chance you could roster him on FanDuel anyway. Like he's not going 6 innings, and like you couldn't pay me to roster him.
That was the point I was going to make. I just wanted to be clear that people understood. As an SB2, it's totally different. Make everything work. But I was like, pitcher, you kind of like you don't want the nail pitching necessarily, but you can't like you can't completely lay up on FanDuel. You got to kind of sort of somewhat get it right. Clue number three for the people. If we're going to get the movie right, maybe we get the winner now. Do put your answer in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Into the live stream chat channel. Clue number 1 is cheese. Clue number 2 is bar mitzvah. Clue number 3 is Artemis. I swear this is going somewhere. I swear it's all going to make sense in the end. And you're going to be like, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. It's all going to check out. I promise. It's all going to check out in the end. But yeah, put your answer into the live stream chat channel. First one to get that correct, you will get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Just taking a peek over here. I want to see some of the, some of these submissions. It's not School Ties. It's not Hustle. It's not The Sound of Music. It's not Uncut Gems. People want to make it an Adam Sandler movie. They really do want to make it an Adam Sandler movie. It is not Keeping Up with the Steins. It is not Don't Mess with the Zohan or Ratatouille for that matter. I think that was Devin's first guess because of the first clue. Okay, let's talk stacks.
There's a comment in chat I want to address real quick. Javier says Darvish has screwed my Cubs enough already. I don't understand where that comment's coming from. Darvish was excellent for the Cubs. He was horrible in his first season. I'll give you that. But he had a couple of really good seasons, and then they traded him away for this. Like, if you don't know the name yet, you will know it soon. There's a young outfielder named Owen Casey who is about to make his debut at some point this season, probably. Massive power hitter. We're going to be talking about him in DFS very soon for sure. So I definitely don't agree that Darvish has screwed the Cubs.
Sticking up for your Cubbies. Well, did he surpass Pete Crow Armstrong? Is he still a thing?
No, Pete Crow's still the top guy, but Casey is the big time power prospect that is knocking on the door. He's like 21 and he's raking in AAA early.
Who do we see next though? Like they got to call up an outfielder tomorrow. It's Pete Crow. Or not necessarily?
No, I think it would be Canario before Pete Crow Armstrong. Honestly, they're going to let Pete Crow Armstrong get a little bit more seasoning. I think they just want him to fine tune some things with the bat. The defense is obviously elite, and he could help with that right now. But I think they want some development still for him. So I think it'd be Canario if they needed a guy.
I think Javier's on your side. He says, we just expect him to win a World Series. He's probably a Cub fan like you are as well. But there you go. Dodgers fans probably don't like Darvish a lot.
That one makes sense.
Some rough playoffs. All right, let's talk about stacks. Tim, I'll let you open the board. If I pull up, our rankings today when it comes to stacks, as I pull it up on the fly, and I can't seem to find that page because I had it ready and I accidentally closed it. So I'm going to throw it to you, and then I'll tell you where we are consensus-wise. Tim, how you feel on the stacks today?
Yeah, so I think the clear and obvious choice is Arizona in Coors Field going up against Kyle Freeland. I think that they're the clear number one stack on the board. I think Atlanta is very, very close number two. And then I think the Rangers now got a pretty huge implied total boost with the pitching swap. I like the Rangers quite a bit. And then I think it's probably the Dodgers for raw points. And then if you're looking for points per dollar, value type stacks, I like the Giants quite a bit. We've mentioned them. There's only one left in that bullpen. I think the Giants are really, really strong value today. So I like them as a value stack. But definitely Arizona, Atlanta are the clear number one, number two. And then probably Texas and the Dodgers.
If there's a stack we're not talking about, feel free to throw them out there in chat. We'll do our best to discuss. If you have a 2v2, we'll do our best to knock that out. Of course, crunch time knocking on the door today at 6:15, if I'm getting that correct, give or take. You got Squirrel Patrol coming in. You got TJ Zwarych playing the role of chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. We didn't really mention the weather. Nothing really out there weather-wise of concern. Last I've seen, weather is fluid, so keep an eye on it. And I believe Taylor Smith. No NBA, so it's only basketball. No, it's only baseball. No NBA tonight. 14 game slate tomorrow. NBA, they don't play for the national championship game. Myself, Head Chopper, the aforementioned Squirrel Patrol, as well as Keith Heister. We did our rankings. We have Arizona number one consensus-wise. We got to rank 5 offenses. Arizona number 1, Atlanta number 2, Dodgers number 3, Houston, Philly, and Texas. I had San Fran, and I kicked San Fran out for Texas just because of the pitching change. But I do like San Fran a good bit, especially if they're going to be kind of ignored. I
should have mentioned Philly too. I like Philly quite a bit.
Look, this is kind of what we were talking about before, Keith. The offenses are, and again, it's baseball, and the Cardinals can score 17 runs today, and we're not shocked. It's that stuff happens. You never know. These things happen all the time. And you can't predict it. There's nothing you can look at and say, today clearly the Cardinals are going to score 17 runs. But it looks pretty clear before the first pitch, the best stacks and the ones that aren't very appealing. That's kind of the way you see it as well, Keith? And feel free to speak to the rankings.
Yep, that is exactly how I see it as well. I think Arizona, Atlanta, a very clear top 2. Texas is inching very close to them now with the pitching changing for Houston. Then I think the Dodgers and Astros are very clearly in that next bucket. I would have Philly right there as well. And I like San Francisco. I'm with you on that one. The one stack that I have some interest in that absolutely nobody is playing is the Cubs. They've been a top 5 offense at baseball to begin the season. They're striking out at a bottom strikeout rate as well. Darvish is not what he once was. He's no longer that 30% strikeout guy that he was with the Cubs. He's down to 26%. He's still above average as a strikeout pitcher, but he's not an elite strikeout pitcher by any means. The walk rate also used to be elite. That's been climbing over the years, and he's really been susceptible to left-handed power. So Cody Bellinger looks like an outstanding one-off. If you're not comfortable with the stack, certainly use Cody Bellinger at the one-off. I love Michael Busch as well as a cheap option. Don't love that he's first base only, but he has some power. The Cubs are my sneaky stack that nobody's talking about, but totally with Tim on the very obvious ones.
What's pitch hit risk on guys like Michael Busch and Tauchman? If a lefty comes in, are they kind of gone or not necessarily?
Yeah, I suppose Garrett Cooper would be the pinch hit risk, backing up Michael Busch. Like, Tauchman, I guess you could move Bellinger out to the outfield. So there's some. I don't think it's huge though, but just big power guy. Like, and I don't even mind. Like, if Busch hits a home run in his second at bat and gets lifted in his third, it's not ideal, but he's cheap enough where you're fine with that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it wasn't like something extreme. By the way, speaking of that, Blaze Alexander on the Diamondbacks, when Freeland exits this game, he turns in the Jock Jams, right? He turns in the Jock Peterson, most likely. Like, again, he's batting 8th. I think there's a chance like he only gets 2 at bats. He's like my least favorite player on Arizona. And again, I kind of overthink this stuff sometimes, and it doesn't always work out this way. And like you said, Blaze Alexander could hit a homer in his first at bat, and who cares? You want to take him out now? Whatever. Now I'm playing with the house's money. You guys have thoughts on Blaze? Just because, he's a cheaper piece in a very popular stack. Is anybody a Blaze Alexander take?
I would imagine that. I mean, he's got pretty massive pinch hit risk, right? I mean, you can definitely use him as part of a stack, but I'm not like high on him really.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I probably wouldn't one-off him. What do you got, Keith?
Yeah, I like him in a stack more than I do as a one-off. I like the upside. He's a solid young prospect, and the spot is as good as it gets against a lefty in Coors, and a lefty that's really, really struggled. So I don't know. He's not going to be all that popular. I don't mind if I land on him.
And Kevin Newman, man, this guy, he's like one of the worst power guys in the league, right? Is this
the bottom of this? The bottom of this Arizona lineup is pretty weak.
Who's not in there that should be in there? What there's besides Jock? Is there somebody else I'm missing? Yeah, TJ says, will Blaze go before Newman? I think Newman's the guy that can kind of bounce around the field, like defensively, like he's versatile. And Blaze is probably DHing, which is
that's what I was going to. Is Blaze DHing? I think is the main question there.
That's because it could be we're seeing Grichuk for the first time, I think, this year. Maybe they're having him DH. Pulling it up now, but they're officially because we only have the positions. Let's see. We got
no, I think it's Suarez or Alexander playing third is the question.
Alexander's DHing. So Alexander is DHing. Perdomo went in the IL. Yeah, and Newman's the shortstop. So yeah, I think Alexander is the one's most vulnerable just because you throw Jock in there. And Newman's a guy that can play short. He's a guy that can play third if needed. I don't know if they can throw him in the outfield if necessary.
I was going to say, if Alexander was playing third with Newman at short, like Alexander can play short. So him sliding over to remove Newman's bat from the game would have been an option. But I do think the pinch hit risk is significant with him DHing.
Clue number 4. We got to get somebody. This will be. Here's the thing. It's this delicate thing where I don't want to make it too easy where people nail the movie game right away. But I also want somebody to win. I want somebody to knock this out. So we got to give us somebody before crunch time comes in. Clue number 1 is cheese. Bar mitzvah, Artemis. Clue number 4, get ready, is weightless. Weightless. Cheese, bar mitzvah, Artemis, weightless. Get into the live stream chat channel and tell me what movie I am talking about. Get yourself 1 week free of RG Premium. All right. Do you have like an off the board, a one-off guy, Tim? Have you settled like a 5-3 as far as you're rolling out there? Is it whatever sort of happens, like 4-3-1 you're cool with? There's no sort of rule you have, right? It's just sort of like whatever kind of comes up for you.
Yeah, no rule. I really liked Keith's Cody Bellinger one-off call. I think that's really, really sharp. But I guess these Giants are going like really low owned. So like Flores, Wade. I guess Wade's 14%, but like Soler 4%. I'll take that all day.
Ooh.
Yeah, at 4%. So
when you say that, does that mean is that an implied tater? Am I supposed to assume that you're saying tater as well?
I already gave out my taters. So
I don't remember that segment. I missed that segment. When did you? I don't remember you officially.
I literally gave out 2 taters.
Well, there's a third one. There's a third.
And you even complimented me on one of them. So, yeah.
Well, not because I didn't know it was a tater. I didn't say hell of a tater. I didn't say that.
Well,
I just said that's a good pick.
Yeah.
Taters are fluid, according to Brandon. That's nicely done there in chat. Do we have enough likes to hit the? I know we got Spidey coming in to give out some homers. People love the homer calls. But I got a couple of the dongs we'll unleash as well. Soler is one of them. I don't know if we're going to cross taters and dongs. We're going to kind of mesh those. I don't know how that works out, but did you officially? You didn't officially claim Soler, so I'm going to take Soler for the homer. That's one of the dongs. How about the Fleisters? Do we have a Keith homer call today for the people?
Yeah, we haven't talked about the Braves a ton yet, but this spot for Matt Olson is just absolutely incredible. Teheran has been just beat up by lefties his entire career. Olson is one of the best power hitters in the game. I absolutely love Matt Olson today. And then for a sneaky one, I mentioned Bellinger already, but I absolutely love Michael Busch as well. Just a power lefty against Darvish. I'm very interested in chasing homers there.
I'm going to take with my second Dean Stone. Olson, what is Olson in the sports book? Like plus 250 or something? It's got to be a ridiculous number, right? He's the quote. He's probably the most he's the 1-1 if you're drafting who's going to homer today. It's probably Matt Olson. I'll take the other lefty. I'll take Michael Harris. I'll take Michael Harris versus Teheran. So we got Teheran and Soler. Walker versus Olson. Don Yeezy wants to know, and the answer is yes, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But you have a lean. It's just whichever one's in your stack, I guess. But I don't know who's best amongst those two. You have a preference, Keith?
I mean, it is really, really tough. They're probably the top two hitters on the slate for me. I like the ownership discount on Olson, so I'm jamming in some Olson for sure.
Alex says Kelnick. Yeah, Kelnick. I love Atlanta always seems to have a 9-hitter. Dating back to last season when Harris was in the 9-hole. That's pretty interesting as far as the wraparound. Do like the Kelnick call versus Teheran. You can never really relax. All right. Favorite Philly, Tim? You have a favorite Philly? I think Schwarber has been mentioned in chat several times. It's just tricky as far as position. Obviously you can get yourself some Harper as well. Perfectly fine. Houston's not going to get played. I'm just telling you, Alvarez and Tucker are just not going to get played in this slate, left on left versus Heaney. But by all means, you can do that if you want to do that. You have a favorite Philly for me, Tim?
Straight up, it's obviously Schwarber. He's got a plus 180 odds to hit a homer. I like Bryson Stott quite a bit. He was Tater number 2 at plus 775. So I like those Phillies lefties quite a bit. So yeah, but Schwarber definitely, and then Harper, great plays.
Ron wants to know, mini stack is a risk to Margot getting pinch hit for. I'll tell you, man, Minnesota, they are not apprehensive in the right moment. We saw earlier in the season where Julien was he pinch hit for a third or fourth inning or so, maybe a second time around. And that's the guy I think who would come in for Margot when Paxton goes away. But he's also leading off. He probably gets 3 at-bats versus Paxton. So
he has a 47% pitch hit risk. That's pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, there's a risk there, but also it's a pretty good chance he gets 3 at-bats. But also Minnesota has shown that they don't care. They have a propensity to give Margot the hook. You got to lean on that? You got to take on that, Keith? Have you noticed this at Minnesota this year?
Yeah, I noticed it a little bit last year, too. They started doing it quite a bit. So, I'd be pretty concerned there.
If you play Margot, would be stack only?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really have enough power where I have much interest as a one-off anyway, but yeah, I think stack only makes sense.
The last clue, let's knock out the clue. Somebody's got to get this, man. I guess I made it harder than I anticipated. I don't know. It's Cheese, number 1, Bar Mitzvah, number 2, Artemis, number 3, Weightless, number 4. The final clue, oh no. And that's one word, O-H-N-O. Oh no, is the final clue. It is important that it is one word, and somebody's going to figure this out and be like, oh man, yeah. And you know what? Let's see, does anybody actually have it? There it is. We finally got a winner. We finally got a winner in chat. I will talk it. Oh, and somebody just was too late. Now all of a sudden, everybody knows it. Everybody knows the answer. Several people. Apologies to Big ZYW. You just missed it. Peterman 79 knocked it out. So Cheese, this was kind of like the throw you off clue because I don't want to. And nobody's getting a hole in one against me anymore. It's not happening. No more hole in one. Too easy. Cheese. Some people think that the moon is made of this. Bar mitzvah. How old do you have to be to have a bar mitzvah? You guys know? Anybody? How old are you?
It's
the wrong crowd. 13.
13, I think, right? It's 13, I think, or 12. I can't remember.
if you know your Greek mythology, and we all do, Artemis is the twin of Apollo. There's some places in this world you could be weightless. And if you remember, if you're a big fan of the Winter Olympics, like who isn't? Remember Apollo Anton Ono? I guess he dropped the Anton. Remember Apollo Ono, like 7-8-time gold medalist, speed skater? Put it all together. Have you guys been playing along? No, maybe not. What day was today, Tim? What day was today? There's a reason why I picked this movie.
It's movie Monday, Dean. It's movie Monday.
But what day in the world when you logged on Twitter or the news or whatever, wherever you get your news source from, amongst other things, what did they talk about? Where is Kevin Roth?
The eclipse.
Okay, and what is an eclipse? You didn't know there would be science.
I'm not even paying attention. Saw it. I did. It was fun.
All right. It's Apollo 13. Apollo 13. Still nothing. You've heard of Tom Hanks? Okay, so there was a mission.
I haven't seen that movie in so long. Like
nobody's seen that movie in so long, but you're aware it exists.
Yeah, no chance I would have gotten that. No chance.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I thought for sure I had it after the second one, and then you completely lost me.
What is the theme of the day? Shout out to Peterman79. You get yourself. Bobby Gomes said he saw it at the theaters. There you go. Bobby says I have the worst movie takes. It's not a movie take. It's not even a taste of it. It's just that's the movie I picked because of today. If there was a movie called Lunar Eclipse, I probably would have picked that. But this was close enough without being super, super obvious. Which maybe
you're getting slammed in the chat, Dean. This is
read the comments. Who's slamming me? What are they saying?
They're not liking your choices. So
I'm sorry. Do they want me to put it on the beginner level?
Clues are flimsy, and this dragged out too long. That's my burner. That's my burner, by the way.
Well, it shouldn't have dragged out too long. You know what wouldn't have dragged it out? If somebody got it right 40 minutes ago. All right. We should have Crunch Time coming in here momentarily as well. You got Squirrel Patrol. You got TJ. We have Taylor Smith as well. Have we given out all the dongs and all the homers? I feel like you've given out enough of them, if I'm not mistaken. Yes?
Yeah.
That's all I got. Yep.
That's all I got. Yeah.
Bobby says Dean plays the good guy and says he wants someone to win, but he doesn't.
That's a great take right there. That's like
it's
incredibly good.
Why
that's a great take. I mean, he's spot on. He's spot on with that.
Well, I will tell you know what I tell him? Take it up with Peterman, who was right there, as well as Big
Alex Sante. Alex Sante says Dean's a scam.
Well, come on, Alex. That's
another great take.
That's such a broad thing to say. I don't even know what that means. But all right, fair enough. I just don't want to make it too easy. I feel like I'm trying to get the Goldilocks, find the sweet spot where it's just right. I thought somebody was going to Google Artemis. Like if you see Artemis, Google Artemis. The first thing you see is Apollo, or related to Apollo, like Apollo's sister or something like that. But all right. Did we buy enough time for Crunch Time to come in? I'm getting hammered here as we're exiting. I think we peaked too early. We gave out all the homers. Do you have an official stack, Tim? Like this is the stack that's going to win it all?
I mean, it's so chalky. I hate to say it, but I mean, I love Arizona, but who doesn't, right? So I think they're good chalk today, though.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what Philly comes in ownership-wise. So I do like Philly quite a bit, too.
Keith, is there a certain stack that like you're over the field, well over the field, and the one that's like you're definitively under for whatever reason? Either it's ownership stuff or it's just you have a take. What's the one offense that can really break you and one that can really make you today?
So I'm pretty chalky with like my main stacks. I think the Cubs I've already talked about. I'm definitely well over the field on lefties in particular. A couple of full stacks too, but mainly mini stacks there. And then the Dodgers are really interesting to me. Like, is Bailey Ober broken is the question that needs to be asked there, because we all know the Dodgers have just massive potential. If they get into that Minnesota bullpen early, like 15 runs is not out of the question.
Are we waiting for the Washington Nationals because Abrams has been kind of banged up? Is that possibly one of the reasons? I know it's a late game too, so maybe that's it. I was thinking about Abrams for a possible stolen base. If you get on base against Snell, I feel like Abrams is a guy that I meant to check the line on that. A prop for Abrams potentially stealing a base. Of course, he's got to be in the lineup. He's got to get first base as well. But it's all right. We have crunch time coming in momentarily. Squirrel Patrol, Taylor Smith, and TJ Zwarych. Let's do it. Let's get to it. What is up, TJ? And the role of Kevin Roth once again. You were so good on Friday. They're bringing you back, or Roth is still on staring at lunar eclipses. But,
I have this magical ability as the host of MLB Crunch Time to just say there will be no weather issues today. It's kind of the same magic that allows me to talk to stuffed figures of Spider-Man that give home run calls. And so that's kind of the plan for today is we went, hey, no weather issues. Roth can be on vacation. And we're ready to get it done.
if anything kind of turns awry, are your DMs open on Twitter? Can I yell at you? Can I tweet at you? Is that going to be okay? You're taking on that responsibility with great responsibility. Wait, hold on. I botched that. What is the Spider-Man thing?
So close. But you know, my DMs are always there, but I can't guarantee all response.
Yeah. All right. Let's step aside and get out of here. Let's give you the great power and the great responsibility. You got Squirrel Patrol, you got Taylor Smith, myself, and Tim and Keith. We do thank you for watching the first portion. Do hit that like button so Spidey can keep firing off some homers. We're going to get out of here. It's crunch time. It's starting now. Take it away, TJ.
What's up, grinders? Welcome to Crunch Time. My name is TJ Zwarych, joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We did get Spidey Bomb at number 1 out there already, and I didn't realize that Jorge Soler was already one of Dean's dongs, so we got a 2-for-1, and it was Jorge Soler and Ryan Jeffers. And so keep smashing that like button. Let's get these likes way up here. And we got more home run calls. We got some of Squirrel's nuts coming as well, I'm sure. And so speaking of Squirrel, one of the two sharp minds joining us today. How you doing?
Good. Yeah. Baseball, realized there's no basketball going on today. So they're trying to hit us with the late scratches, keep us on our toes, like basketball usually does. But it's been an interesting day and looking forward to the show.
I am looking forward to diving into that Framber Valdez late scratch with you and how you're handling that for tournaments, because I'm doing something with the 4K pitcher that is probably pretty stupid, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to take some shots anyways. I like this guy because he always laughs at my jokes, just like he did just now. Tayebojangles, Taylor Smith. How you doing?
I'm good. I think I was laughing just because I'm probably doing the same dumb thing you are tonight, so we can ride or die together on this one, I think.
Love it. Love it. Let's dive into it. Before we get into the slate, let's knock out the ad reads right here, quick and early, just in case we get some more late scratches in the season of replacing NBA. There's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium with NBA, PGA, NCAA basketball, NHL, MMA, and MLB right around the corner. Get yourself 6-month combo subscription at an exclusive price of $469.99. There's a savings of $250. Instead of buying 6 individual months of combo premium, you can also give combo a test run with our 3-day pass at $19.99 for those looking to test the waters before diving in. Check the link in our description for more info. And you can also, there's a nice $3 Mega Mini Max GPP today. And if you're wanting to run a lot of lineups in there, check out SimLabs. It's the expert DFS lineup generation tool for RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs, now available for MLB in beta. With a few clicks, you can have hundreds of well-built correlated lineups for whatever contest you're playing. Try SimLabs beta out for MLB while it's available for free. Taylor, why don't you give us a little pitcher breakdown, focusing more on the optimal cash game single entry side of things?
Sounds good. Should I start on FanDuel or just overarching for everybody?
Overarching for both.
Okay. So we do have expensive options tonight, of course. Blake Snell making his season debut. Luis Castillo at Toronto tonight. Zach Eflin has a good matchup on the road against the Angels. And Charlie Morton against the Mets. Not a very fearsome lineup there. There's kind of some 8K-ish guys on DK that look decent enough. Yu Darvish at home against the Cubs. Not a great matchup, but he is a little cheap. We could see Zach Gallen get some ownership, especially on DK, even at Coors tonight, just because it's the Rockies and he is a little underpriced relative to his normal levels. And then we have punts on this slate. You mentioned the 4K guy, Henley for Houston, who's in for Framber Valdez going into Texas. And then on DK, Miles Michaelis is, I think, 5-2 against the Phillies and 7K flat on FanDuel. It's kind of, depending on what you want to do and your risk tolerance, it is viable to go all the way down, I think. Michaelis is the one that I'm getting to the most as of now when I run optimals on both sites, actually. It's not comfortable against the Phillies. That's a high power lineup, and Michaelis is not a guy that strikes many hitters out, but it's kind of a slate where you want to pay up for bats. We have Coors, we have Atlanta in a good spot, Houston against a homer prone pitcher tonight on the road, Dodgers on the slate. So there's a lot to like on the offensive side. It is viable to pay all the way up if you want, but I'm more inclined to take the savings and kind of hold my breath that the cheap guys can kind of get us by tonight.
Squirrel, how about you? How are you looking to differentiate in tournaments today? And what are you doing with my guy, Henley, at 4K on DraftKings?
Yeah, so I did the Sirius XM show with Eric Beinpour last night, and the main topic of conversation was what's being talked about a lot in baseball. It's like all these pitchers are blowing out their arms. We have no aces left. I'm spreading out as much at pitcher as I can, and like as much as I ever have playing MLB DFS. I'm not convinced there's a difference between any of these games. It's just different price tags, and that's kind of a weird thing to say when you've got like Theo and Charlie Morton and some good pitchers, Zach Eflin, and then you've got this like 4K guy that's coming in for Houston, I guess, to face the Rangers. I don't know. I think we're seeing like pitching projections as tight as they've ever been. I'm spending down a pitcher as much as I can, and yeah, there's a 4K guy out there. It's like the consummate DK SP2 play, right? Tournament, because his problem is that he walks guys a lot. I think he's only got one start of AA. I think he had a play start maybe like last week. And he strikes out a guy, good numbers, walks a lot of guys. He's 4K. I'm going to play him, and I don't think I'm going to be alone in playing him. But yeah, I'm definitely going to play him, but I'm also going to be stacking some Rangers lineups. I'm probably not going to do it in the same lineup, but I think there's even an argument for that. So.
I think it makes sense. Well, let's start diving into some of our favorite stacks on the slate. Squirrel, I'll keep it with you. On the note of that Rangers stack, that's something I'm trying to do as well. I'm getting a lot of Henley, but I'm also trying to get a lot of the Rangers, probably not in the same lineup. But the Rangers did end up, they weren't this high before, but they're now my third highest owned stack on the slate.
Yeah, exactly. So they're moving up, and there's a collection of good offenses. And I kind of said that, like, as much as like pitchers are falling apart, it seems like some of these offenses are really premier offenses, like maybe haven't seen before in baseball in recent times. Like the Braves, the Braves seem to like they're always getting there. The Dodgers, have like so much hitting talent. And Texas is right there with them. And then tonight we have Arizona and Coors. So it's a lot of the names that you would think in terms of like top stacks. It's going to be Atlanta, Arizona, and Coors. Texas facing this pitcher that's got control issues. It's Doug hasn't pitched much above AA. I like to add to that list. I like Philadelphia against Miles Mikolas. I think Mikolas is going to see some popularity because he's maybe a perception of safety and he's got a low price. I want to play the Phillies. Looking at the home run props on the Philadelphia guys. I don't know if they're all going to hit home runs, but there seems to be some confidence there that at least one of them is. So I like going to Philadelphia. Going like lower priced, probably like the Angels and the Mariners.
Taylor, how about you? How would you rank the top stacks on the board? The Atlantas, the Texases, and then of course the Coors Field game. And then who would be some of your sneakier ones on the slate?
Yeah, I'm actually getting to more of Houston and Atlanta right now than I am of Arizona. It's kind of an ownership thing. Arizona is obviously going to be really chalky at Coors against Kyle Freeland. It's scary to fade that or to be underweight on that, but it's kind of the nature of the slate. There are quite a few high-end offenses that are worth paying for, and if Arizona is going to be overwhelmingly chalky, then I'm happy to come in under that and just hope for the best. As far as sneakier stuff, I'm getting to quite a bit of the Cubs against Yu Darvish. I think that's kind of a leverage thing on DK because he is going to be, it looks like, somewhat popular at 8,400 tonight, just because the high end is kind of suspect on the pitching side. He's in the mid-range. Playing him makes it easier to pay out for some offense if you want. The Cubs are a good lineup. I'm happy to play them on the road against him if he's going to be popular. And then I am getting to Washington a bit, which is uncomfortable, but this is Blake Snell's season debut. You never know what you're getting from Blake Snell. His control issues are well documented. Washington's generally pretty cheap. I'm hoping CJ Abrams will be in the lineup because he's one of my more high-owned players at the moment. Don't have that lineup yet as far as I know. And Seattle, I like that call quite a bit against Barrios. He could see some popularity too on DK at 71. So Seattle's got good lefty power. I think they have 6 lefties against him, and he's struggled over the years in terms of limiting lefty power. So Seattle's another stack I'm getting to tonight.
All right, here I am just making sure I get a little bit more Seattle here, going up to lock. No, I got enough right now for this next set of builds. Why don't we go position by position? Taylor, you can start things off talking about the catcher position for cash games.
Sounds good. So if you're looking to save, it's, Gabriel Moreno's the top guy at Coors with the platoon advantage over Freeland. No secret there. Cal Raleigh, we mentioned the Mariners being in a good spot. He's a power hitting catcher, one of the few power hitting catchers out there from the left side against Barrios. Francisco Alvarez, I'm not super psyched to be getting to the Mets against Charlie Morton, but he's another catcher that does have some talent offensively, reasonably priced around the industry too. And Ivan Herrera kind of as a punt on DK, I think it's okay. The Cardinals aren't really generally on my radar tonight, but he's one that stands out just because he's cheap.
Squirrel, how about you? Who are you attacking at catcher position today for tournaments?
Yeah, it's going to be like Gabriel Moreno in Coors, Cal Riley for Seattle. I was like, catchers can hit for power. I'm either using them as part of my stack or as a one-off. So yeah, I want power either way. Elias Diaz hitting cleanup in Coors Field, even though it's for the Rockies, and Will Smith with the Dodgers.
I like it. Let's keep smashing the like button here. We're very close for the next Spidey Bomb. First one was Soler and Ryan Jeffers, and we're very close to the next announcement. So keep smashing the like button. We'll get the next one at 150. We'll get the one after that as soon as we hit 200 likes. We got a ton of people watching today. Over 600 on YouTube, over 1,100 on all the sites combined. So let's smash those likes buttons. It does wonders for us with the algorithm. Taylor, who are we playing in cash at first base?
Christian Walker, obviously, we're going to mention a lot of D-backs tonight. He's the top guy overall here, righty against Freeland at Coors. Some options for savings. You can consider Miguel Sano, kind of a cheap home run potential guy for the Angels against Zach Eflin tonight. Jose Abreu is a guy popping into a lot of lineups on FanDuel, unfortunately. He's hitting 7th for Houston. 2,400. Heaney, like I said, will give up home runs. Abreu's not someone that's fun to roster at this stage of his career, but he's cheap enough to get to, I think, tonight. Matt Olson could fly under the radar. I think Walker's the play in cash, but Matt Olson against Julio Teheran in 2024 sounds pretty appealing, I would say. And maybe Wilmer Flores on the cheap side. Lamont Wade on DK also has first base eligibility. It's kind of a tight pool for the first base in cash games tonight.
Yeah, Olsen is basically my favorite tournament play every single slate of the season, so I love that call. Squirrel, how about you? Who are we getting to in tournaments at first?
So yeah, I think there's 3 top guys: Bryce Harper, Christian Walker, and Matt Olson. Probably not a big surprise. After those 2 guys, I have 2 Dodgers next. Shohei Ohtani, I think only on DraftKings, and then Freddie Freeman, on both sites. If I'm looking to save money, it's probably Jose Abreu on FanDuel and Miguel Sano on DraftKings.
All right, Taylor, why don't you take us through second base cash games?
Pretty simple. You're probably playing Ketel Marte against Freeland for the Diamondbacks. He's been awesome to start the year. He's generally better from the right side, so he's hitting from the right side tonight. A few alternatives. Marcus Semien against Blair Henley for the Rangers looks pretty good. Jorge Polanco got to him quite a bit yesterday. Good spot again for him tonight against Barrios for the Mariners. And Nolan Gorman maybe tonight, kind of another cashy type play with some power at second base. That's really it. It's Marte and then a gap and then everybody else. I think you're muted.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute because my headphones died and I don't want an echo. Squirrel, how about you? How are you getting different in second?
Yeah, actually, so I do agree. Like, there's a bigger difference. Like, before we talk about getting different, like, there's probably a bigger gap between Ketel Marte and like the next highest guy at second base more than any other position. So yeah, don't mind getting Ketel Marte at all. Always like the guy leading off for the road team in Coors Field. But other than him, a couple of guys from Texas, Jose Altuve and Marcus Semien. Semien's getting the boost now, facing this Henley character that none of us knew about until this morning. Then Ozzy Albies, Mookie Betts. If I'm looking for savings, Jorge Polanco is really underpriced on FanDuel, on DraftKings, value play. I'd probably either Isaiah Kiner Khalifa. I always butcher that name. But like Jorge Polanco is actually not bad at 3,900, or Nolan Gorman up at 4,000.
Good. Is third base a little bit more? There's only still 30 minutes until lock, Taylor. Are there more players at third base? Is there more we can go on here?
No, to answer your question, no. It's pretty tight over here too. Obviously, Eugenio Suarez at Coors, he's got a long track record of hitting well, hitting for power against lefties. Not super expensive either, 4.3 on DK. Going to be quite popular, I'd imagine. Alex Bregman on FanDuel is under 3K. He hasn't been good so far, but platoon advantage against Heaney. As I've said, homer prone lefty. Don't mind getting to him. Matt Chapman, the Giants are kind of looking like a decent source of value tonight. He's pretty boomer bust, but it's baseball. I guess every hitter is kind of boomer bust. So Chapman against Trevor Williams, not a very good pitcher, not a high strikeout guy. It's going to pop into some lineups as an option. I will pretend Anthony Rendon is not appearing on my screen right now and move right along to Trey Lipscomb, another kind of punt for the Nationals. If he gets into the lineup on DK, he's third base eligible. Don't mind that. Ditto for Josh Smith, a Ranger cheapie in the lineup as a lefty against Henley.
Squirrel, how about you for tournaments?
Yeah, so the spend ups, Eugenio Suarez, Austin Riley, Matt Chapman, Alex Bregman, probably just going to go whoever fits my stack here. There isn't like a clear differentiator. Like, oh my God, you have to go out and run and grab this guy. The value guy, I think, on both sites is Josh Smith. He's going to have the platoon advantage. Like, I don't know what this Henley guy's splits are, but I'll assume that like most people, it's going to be a good platoon advantage for the left-handers here. So I'll go with Josh Smith as the value play on both sites. Miguel Senjo though is third base eligible on FanDuel, so and he's like way down 2,300. So he's a value play as well on FanDuel.
All right, shortstop, Taylor.
Shortstop. This one is one that doesn't really have a D-back. Finally, I think Kevin Newman's in. He's shortstop eligible, but not a very good hitter. I think there might be some pinch hit risk there too. So if you are paying up, I think Corey Seager is probably the top guy against Henley from the left side. Obviously, Seager's phenomenal. Maybe the best hitting shortstop in the league, potentially. I'm happy to get to him tonight now that he's not facing Framber Valdez. Mauricio Dubon has shortstop on FanDuel. Jeremy Pena on both sides. Another Astro to consider against the lefty Heaney. Ezekiel Tovar, kind of the first Rocky that I've seen getting into lineups on DK. Obviously, Gallen has a track record of being good, but it is Coors. Tovar is a decent hitter relative to his teammates, so he looks solid. A couple of Rays to consider against Anderson, Jose Caballero and Ahmed Rosario, both on DraftKings. Rosario FanDuel as well. I think they're decent value plays. Rosario is a guy that has some stolen base upside. I think Caballero might too. So I don't think they're bad plays. And then maybe Nick Ahmed in your giant stack if you want, and maybe some Francisco Lindor on FanDuel.
All right, we've reached enough likes for the next Spidey Bomb. We're only 23 away from Spidey Bomb number 4. Next up, we got Jared Kelenic in the 9-hole for the Atlanta Braves today. I wanted to pick somebody on the Braves, but wanted to get one of the little bit less chalky ones. So we got Jared Kelenic. He's going to be knocking one out of the park today. Who do you like at shortstop this Squirrel?
So yeah, 3 guys that probably aren't a big surprise: Corey Seager, Mookie Betts, and Francisco Lindor. But I'm gonna add Trey Turner. He's had like a pretty miserable start to the season, but I do like the Phillies here, so I'm doing a bunch of Philly stacks. And Trey Turner's always been underpriced on FanDuel. I don't know why, going back like probably a couple of years now. He's like priced up 5,800 on DraftKings. I'm playing him on both sites, and on FanDuel, playing some of them as a one-off. I mean, if he breaks out of it tonight against Mikolas, I think he's a good one-off. I like playing one-offs. I can steal bases as well. Then looking at value plays, not much there. Probably Nick Ahmed, 2,300 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, Trey Turner, I think, counts it as value at 3,200. We can go to Josh Smith at 2,200. That's way too cheap for him now that they're facing this Henley guy, and then probably Mauricio Dubon at 2,200 as well, heading for Houston.
Nationals lineup, we got Young in the leadoff spot, Winker, Thomas, Gallo, Meneses, Ruiz, Vargas, Lipscomb, Garcia. So that's the lineups for the Washington Nationals. That was the last one we were waiting for. We do have them all now. Taylor, talk to us about the outfield.
Yeah, CJ Abrams not being in that lineup probably takes me a little bit more off of Washington than I was going to be. But Jacob Young, now that he's leading off, he was a value play that was already kind of looking good on DK when we had him projected to hit lower in the order. Now that he's leading off, I think he's okay. Otherwise, obviously, this is where all the good stuff is. Ronald Acuna against Tehran, happy to get all the way up to him. Corbin Carroll, even lefty at Coors, don't really care about that. Obviously, Freeland's not going to pitch the whole game. So Carroll is going to be one of the top options here. Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez, even lefty, they have hit lefties well over the years, and we know he needs a fly ball pitcher to begin with. Both pretty cheap on FanDuel. Tucker only 3,400, relatively cheap, that is. Ahmed Rosario, I mentioned on DK. You can also play him in the outfield on DK. Michael Harris with the platoon advantage against Tehran, a guy that's long struggled against lefties and everybody, but lefties in particular. Jorge Soler and Jung-Hoo Lee are decent values on FanDuel, kind of like the rest of the Giants. Lee and Lamont Wade look more playable on DK. Randall Grichuk, platoon advantage against Freeland, hitting lower, I believe, in the order. Is he hitting lower in the order for Arizona? Probably. But good power bet, reasonable value. Don't mind that. And another cheapie, Harold Ramirez, maybe platoon advantage from the right side against Tyler Anderson. I think he looks decent enough.
Squirrel, outfield.
Yeah, so at the top, I actually like Kyle Schwarber. I mean, they mentioned his home run prop on the earlier show, but I've seen it as low as 165, like plus 165. That seems like crazy low home run prop. But yeah, he's always hit right-handers better. He's a left-hander with power. Mikolas has had trouble with left-handers with power. So yeah, like Kyle Schwarber, he's not the most expensive outfielder, which is nice. Among the guys that are the most expensive outfielders, I prefer like Acuna, Adelis Garcia, Shohei Ohtani, and then the Astros duo Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez. Probably prefer Kyle Tucker. He's just a little bit cheaper. Probably going to see lower ownership as well. Corbin Carroll is a guy, obviously stands out, hitting second in Coors Field for the Diamondbacks. If I'm looking at cheap guys, I agree. Jacob Young probably goes up the charts now as one of the value plays if he's leading off for the Nationals. He's only 2,200 on DraftKings. That's really cheap. And then also Mickey Moniak as well. He's hitting second for the Angels. So yeah, I think he's a good value play.
All right, let's in case anybody tuned in a little late here, why don't each of you give your kind of top 3 pitchers on both sides, and then we'll pivot to the same for stacks. So Taylor, how about you? Top 3 pitchers on both FanDuel and DraftKings.
FanDuel, sadly, Michaelis, I'm going to say. I know that's going against what Squirrel's saying about the Phillies, and he's probably right about that because it's the Phillies and it's Miles Michaelis, but he's cheap. I'm okay with it tonight. Zach Eflin and Yu Darvish on FanDuel going to round that out. And on DK, I'll say Darvish, Michaelis, and Henley for 4K flat. Let's go all the way down.
Heck yeah, I love it. Squirrel, how about you?
Yeah, I'll just go with like pitchers that I think are interesting that you might not click on or might not click on immediately. Like I do like Zach Gallen facing the Rockies. Like we're just like conditioned not to play pitchers in Coors Field, but like there might not be a reason to avoid it if it's the road team, because the Rockies might not even be able to hit it home at this point. So like the idea of playing Zach Gallen. I like Spencer Turnbull. They were talking about his StatCast, like his rotation, new pitches, new pitch mix. So I like him facing the Cardinals. And then I think Luis Castillo is going to see really low ownership. And so it's something you consider because he is a guy who can go out there and actually be a differentiator at pitcher. So if he's seeing really low ownership, he's somebody you might want to be over the field on. And like if you want to spend up, like he might be an interesting guy to spend up on at low ownership. For DraftKings, I'm going to add the Blair Henley at 4,000. I think that's always a situation where you might want to maybe try to be over the field. I mean, maybe they just go out and we don't really know what the situation is with Framber Valdez. So we don't know how much of an emergency start this is. So maybe he does. He's going to just go to 3 innings no matter what. But maybe not. Like maybe he's going to pitch 6 innings. I think that's maybe the less likely outcome. But at 4,000, I'm willing to roll the dice. So yeah, I like being over the field on Blair Henley, although I don't really know that we know what his ownership is going to be.
Couldn't agree more. That's basically my exact same thought process on him as well. Taylor, how about you? Maybe not. Let's not go top 3, but let's say top like single entry stack this week, and then your top sneaky stack you'd want to be overweight on in MME.
Single entry, I'll just ignore the Diamondback because that's too obvious. Atlanta against Tehran, just maybe not a major league pitcher anymore at this stage of his career. Houston against Andrew Heaney, just for the home run potential. And sneakier, I'm not sure how sneaky they'll be, but Tampa Bay against Tyler Anderson on the road, get a nice park upgrade going into Anaheim. And they should have a sea of righties in that lineup. I assume we got it already. So, yeah, I'll say those 3.
All right. Squirrel, how about you?
Yeah, I like probably like the Phillies in terms of like being over the field. Probably like the Phillies the most. Then I like Texas. I mean, I don't know how much like projections are going to adjust and how quickly people are going to adjust to the scratch of Framber Valdez. And so and this is a pitcher that could completely blow up. So that's what I'm looking for in tournaments for stacks. So probably Phillies, Texas, and then maybe on the low end, I will go with the Angels.
All right, now it is finally time for some home run calls. We get up to 200 likes. I will drop one more for the people, but in the meantime, Taylor, who do you think is not going out of the park today?
Let's go a little off the board with Miguel Sano. I think we've mentioned him a couple times, but good power. Just has to make contact, which is a big if, but maybe tonight's the night.
Miguel Sano to knock one out of the park. Squirrel, who are the nuts tonight? Who are the Squirrel's nuts?
I will go with an expert survey. I went with Jared Walsh, but I'm going to go one up higher in the order, go with Josh Smith.
All right. And then my final Spidey bomb of the day as we creep up over 200 likes here is Will Smith for the Dodgers. Dodgers going a little under-owned today. I like them as a stack, and I like Will Smith to knock one out of the park. My top 3 pitchers on the slate today are Henley is kind of my number 1. I have him in 67% of lineups. It's terrifying, but I'm doing it. And then my next 3 are Eflin, Gallen, and Paxton as the guy that I am loading into my lineups the most. For stacks, I have Atlanta as my highest owned, Arizona at 2, Texas at 3, Dodgers at 4, and then the Rockies, the Phillies, the Astros, and the Giants are kind of a blend of 5 to 6 to 7% of stacks in my lineups here as well. Let's start looking at some QQs. I will, of course, go to the RotoGrinders Discord live stream chat first and foremost, and then I will be going to the YouTube chat second, where we're needing you to smash that like button. And we got lock in 17 minutes. So lots and lots of time for QQs. FanDuel Cash, Taylor, Langford and Bregman, or Josh Smith and Eugenio Suarez?
I think Smith and Suarez sounds a little bit better.
Squirrel, FanDuel GPP, large field, one bullet to win it all. Favorite stack, is it the Phillies?
Yeah, go Phillies.
All right. What else do we got here for questions? If you're playing the Cubs on DraftKings, Taylor, who would be your priorities?
Let's see. Bellinger was the one that stood out the most right off the bat. Let me check my own exposures here. Let's see. Delaying. Christopher Morel, power hitting third baseman for them, looks pretty good. Dansby Swanson helps you fill that shortstop spot. And then Ian Happ for 4.6 on DK looks decent enough in the outfield. Also, Michael Busch, 2,800, really cheap first baseman option. Platoon advantage against Darvish. I don't mind that either.
My highest owned bat today ended up being Lourdes Gurriel. Actually, no, he's highest outfielder. I have more Suarez and Marte. I didn't expect Gurriel to be quite up that high. Squirrel, who you got tonight? UConn or Purdue?
UConn.
Best stack for a large field tourney today. I already know Squirrels is the Phillies. Who would be your favorite large field one, Taylor?
We can go Cubs. Just talked about them. Let's roll with that.
Like it. What two pitchers would you play in Yahoo Cash, Taylor?
Put me on the spot there with Yahoo.
I'll give you
I'll
one question, Squirrel, and I'll give you a chance to look that one up. But I'll be honest, it's weird. We got a ton of people watching today, but we are very low on the questions. So you got any questions in? Get them in. We still got 15 minutes to lock here. What the heck are we supposed to do? Squirrel, Harper, Schwarber, and Darno, or Olsen, Marsh, and Michael Harris in a FanDuel GPP?
I'd go with the Phillies one.
All right. And then looking back at YouTube here, what about Jose Caballero today? Do you got any of him in your pool, Squirrel?
I'm not sure. A little bit. I don't love the race today, but yeah, I got maybe 5%.
Late to the party. Can we play? So let's get this cash one first. Taylor, who are those two Yahoo Cash ones? And we got Kirk D's in chat actually saying he's going to, the kid Yahoo himself, the king of Yahoo, he's going to drop that one in chat. So maybe don't worry about it as much, Taylor, because Kirk will handle it. So what do you think about this one? Did the Spidey Bombs hit yesterday? Is late to the party. He wants to know, can we play Minnesota?
Against Paxton, they're not really on my radar. I was actually getting to more Paxton than Minnesota, so that's kind of where I fall on that 2v2.
All right. Who were the Spidey Bombs today? They were Ryan Jeffers, Jorge Soler, Will Smith, and Jared Kelenic. What do you think about Grichuk revenge today, Squirrel? You factoring in revenge in your stacks?
I wasn't factoring in the revenge narrative, but yeah, I think now you have to consider him even more. But I think the Coors Field narrative probably helps.
You want a narrative that I can get, that I'm on today, that I'm loving? It's not actually, I was on it anyways before I found it out. Henley is from Arlington, Texas. That's where he went to high school. And so a hometown, maybe friends and family narrative. You'll love to see it. Ignoring ownership, who are the top stacks on the slate? It's Atlanta and it's Arizona. Arizona is probably number one ownership ignoring, but Atlanta very, very close behind them. Kirk Dees says in Yahoo Cash, he's playing Castillo Paxton. Maybe the projection pairing is Ober and Darvish, but he's going Castillo Paxton, and he doesn't feel very safe about any of them in cash today. Thanks for doing that, Chris. Kirk Dees, appreciate that. What do you think about Assad in FanDuel single entry tournaments, Taylor?
No, I know the Padres aren't what they used to be, but Assad just seems a little unnecessary on this slate.
What do you think about Adolis Garcia? Love Adolis Garcia until he gets suspended for performance-enhancing drugs, because, man, does that dude look gigantic this season compared to last. He was always ripped, but now he's just a mountain. So we'll see. Maybe it's not that. Hopefully it's not that. Assad or Barrios today in a DK single entry, Squirrel?
I'd go with Barrios. Assad isn't really a guy that I'm getting to. I'm not sure if I'm getting to him at all. But yeah, Barrios at least is very well priced on DraftKings. So.
Wanting to do some hit betting. Any player you like today to just get a single hit? Let's go Ketel Marte, Mookie Betts, Ronald Acuna would be your most likely players to get a hit today. You want somebody on Philly? Go Bryce Harper. Schwarber's more likely to hit a home run, but Harper's more likely to get a hit. And then you want to go. That's I think those are probably all the best ones today to get a hit without specifically looking at it. What do we got here? Well, you getting any Snell in tournaments, Squirrel?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's got to be on the radar. Like it could go poorly, but it could go the other way too. So you know the talent is there. I don't think he's going to see as high ownership as we were maybe expecting earlier in the day. I think Yu Darvish is going to see a lot of the ownership, like especially on DraftKings. I think Yu Darvish will see ownership. Barrios will see some ownership, just because he's so cheap on DraftKings, and now Blair Henley is going to see a lot of ownership. I think a lot of that's going to come from Blake Snell. So yeah, don't mind getting Snell.
In GPPs on DraftKings today, what are your stack like formation exposures today? Like what percentage of 5-3s, 5-2s, 4-4s are you getting?
I tend to do mostly like 5-man stacks, and then try to do at least 2 from. So I think the majority will probably be 5-man stacks, and I do throw in some 4-4s, some 4-3s, but I think it's probably going to be mostly 5-man stacks with it, and then 5-2 or 5-3.
Yeah, I have 70% 5-3 and 30% 5-2 in my lineup today. On smaller stacks, I saw with slates, I mix in a lot more like 5Xs, like 5-1-1-1s, but on bigger slates like this, I try and do 5-2s as well. Somebody asked who would be the most likely person for Michael Conforto to pinch hit for today. I don't believe Michael Conforto will pinch hit for anybody just because it's a righty they're facing and he's not in the lineup. So this is a rest day that they're, I think, actively trying to give him, and I don't think we'll see anybody pinch in. FanDuel single entry, Heaney, Assad, or Trevor Williams, Taylor?
Good Lord. Someone's really going off the board. I guess Heaney, Assad, or Williams. I think Heaney probably has the best strikeout stuff individually, but his matchup is awful. Maybe do it over. I guess Heaney's the one I'd say, but that's rough.
I'd go Trevor Williams. Like if you're going for low ownership, go for low ownership and go for a national.
Cheap, yeah.
What do you think of an Atlanta Arizona stack, and a Philly Dodger stack? Well, those sound like two great lineups to me. I don't know if you'll be able to look at this quickly, and so just maybe what's your exposure to both of these guys today? But Ruthless Villain wants to know, Squirrel, what do you think of Castillo and Eflin?
So I think I'm playing about I'm playing more Eflin than Castillo. I think Castillo is gonna be a little bit of a safer play, like especially for the price. I think you're getting more for your dollar with Zach Eflin. But yeah, I think Castillo is gonna see really low. I think you obviously have to spend a little bit more, but if you want to spend up, go with Castillo.
DJ Stewart or Jacob Young in FanDuel cash, Taylor?
I think it's Young now that he's leading off.
Who would be the Rangers you're prioritizing in your stack, Squirrel?
So Adolis Garcia, Corey Seager, like Marcus Semien. Then for the cheaper guys, probably like Josh Smith.
On Demigod, let us know what site you're looking on. He says second base and third base. I have 6K left. Help. Let us know if that is FanDuel or DraftKings. Do you like Toronto?
DK, right?
Sorry?
He said 6K left?
Yeah. For 2 positions, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll have to on FanDuel. So average of 3K per position. I'll throw that to you, Taylor. Assuming that's a single entry or a cash. Average just 3K left for a second base and third baseman. Who do you like there? And Squirrel, what do you think of Toronto tonight? I only got I think 2 Toronto stacks and 150 lineups.
Yeah, so 2 teams I don't like getting to, Toronto and San Francisco. Like I think they have 1 stolen base on the year between them. So you're not getting the stolen base points. Not particularly like a ton of power either from either lineup. So yeah, there's actually 2 of the teams I don't like getting to.
Who are your top? Oh, sorry, Taylor. Who are your guys for that second and third base?
Yeah, so Muncy is 3-3 on FanDuel. That's pretty cheap for him. The power against over. Montero for the Rockies is third base, first base for 2-9 in Coors. Tyro Estrada, he's hitting kind of lower in the order, but he looks decent enough. Ha-Seong Kim, second and third for 3-1 on FanDuel looks decent. And then Bryson Stott hitting in the heart of the Phillies lineup against Michaelis looks decent.
All right, Squirrel, who are your top 4 starting pitchers for FanDuel tournaments?
Top 4 starting pitchers. So I think Yu Darvish is probably your best point per dollar. I think I like Zach Eflin. In terms of like a little bit lower ownership, I like going with like Zach Gallen and Spencer Turnbull.
Does Lamont Wade have pinch hit risk tonight? He always gets pinch hit for anytime they face a lefty, but as far as if I'm not mistaken, Washington only has like 1 lefty in the bullpen or something like that. And so probably not super high, but it will happen 100% if they put a lefty in there. Best outfield play, 4,500 or less on DraftKings, already using Soler. It is definitely Michael Harris. Favorite righties from Atlanta tonight, it is definitely Christian Walker as the top guy, and then any of them after that. Frankly, it's Walker.
Atlanta or Arizona?
Oh, Atlanta. Nice. Good on Atlanta tonight. Thank you for correcting me on that one. Righties on Atlanta, it's always Acuna number 1, and then it's Riley and Ozuna number 2. Utility spot on FanDuel, Harper or Gurriel, Taylor?
Kind of depends on the rest of the build, but I guess in a tournament it would be Harper, and cash it would be Gurriel.
GPP, are you okay with playing Seager as a one-off if you're also playing Henley, Squirrel?
Yeah.
The last time Purdue was in the final was 1969, the same year we landed on the moon, and Neil Armstrong also went to Purdue. Ooh, that's fun. FanDuel GPP, large field, Squirrel, Paxton or Eflin?
Eflin.
We got 4 minutes left to lock. Get your likes in. Hit the like button on YouTube. Get any last-minute questions in as well. I believe we have hit all of them. I feel weird getting out of here a little bit early on a big slate like this, but I guess we, of course, can if we run out of questions here. Does Squirrel like the Cubs today on DraftKings?
I think Taylor likes them a little bit more. I'm not so high on the Cubs. I'm not like necessarily that down on them either. There's just a bunch of teams that I like better. I think it is a 7:07 lock, so you get the 2 extra minutes.
Boss Bro says, no, we got questions. Well, then get the questions in, Boss Bro. Don't tell me you have questions. Ask me the questions, and we'll get you some answers. No Mike Trout love today. What do you think about Trout in tournaments, Taylor?
Yeah, he's always someone you should be considering. Certainly if you're stacking Angels, you want to get up to him. Yeah, I'm never sad about getting to Mike Trout.
Soler or Michael Harris Jr. as a one-off, Squirrel?
I want to go with the Solar call, the eclipse and everything, but I probably like Michael Harris better.
How is it possible to build a stack with both Arizona and ATL? It seems impossible. On DraftKings, you play Henley, and then on FanDuel, you do it with the back half of the order. Is there a better 6th man in the league than TJ McConnell? I would say, since he's probably not even actually the 6th man on his own team, he's like the 9th man most of the time. Yeah, there probably is, but I do think that the Phoenix Suns should have traded for TJ McConnell this year because he would have been an absolutely perfect fit with the team that they have going there, a guy that can come help the second unit and get the ball to those stars. How serious are you guys really on Henley? I have 67% Henley on DraftKings and 150 lineups. He is in 101 of my 150 lineups. It's terrifying, but he's 4K. If he gets me 8 points, I'm fine. If he gets me 12, I'm thrilled. If he gets me 15, I'm probably going to make a lot of money today. And so I'm all over the Henley train. What do you got for percentage, Squirrel?
Yeah, I think I'm between 20 and 25%. So I mean that's pretty serious. But I'm stacking the Rangers a lot because he could blow up. But something's got to give there, right? Like if he's a good starting pitcher, then he's way too cheap at 4,000. If he's not, then I want to have some Ranger stacks.
Taylor, how about you? How much Henley you got?
Let's see real quick here. I actually have more Michaelis right now, which feels almost just as bad. Let's see, Henley 18%, so plenty.
Am I an idiot for Turnbull Braves Phillies stack for the 222? Not at all. That sounds like a stack that Squirrel would absolutely love. And if Squirrel loves it, I think that makes it a very good GPP play. Semien or Cattell, straight up as a one-off, Squirrel.
You could go either way, but I'd probably go Cattell. Cattell's going to project better if it's a one-off. He's probably going to see much higher ownership. It might depend on the contest size, but I'll go with Cattell. But you can go either way. If you want low ownership, don't be afraid to go Sem.
1 minute to lock. Arcia, Rosario, or Caballero on DK. That would be Arcia as the top play. Do you like Dansby Swanson in a Cub stack better than Hap? Swanson or Hap, Taylor?
I think Hap's the one I have more, but it just kind of depends on your build. They're both fine plays.
Single entry, Cattell or Semien. It is Cattell. Flores or Big Dumper. Last piece, FanDuel single entry, Squirrel.
Go Cal Riley.
Is it too risky to leave $700 on the table on FanDuel, Taylor?
I don't know if it's too risky. FanDuel, generally, the pricing is pretty loose, so I think you can do that, especially in a tournament. The salary cap is arbitrary, so I think you can do that.
I forgot the first game of the slate is Toronto today, so we actually do still have 2 minutes to lock because they're getting the Canadian national anthem in right now. Somebody asking about the Cubs lineups. Yes, it is out. It goes Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, Cody Bellinger, Christopher Morel, Dansby Swanson, Michael Busch, Nico Horner, Mike Tauchman, and then Miguel Amaya. And then, all right, I think we did it. I think we got all the questions again. TJ, did you cash in any MMA lineups yesterday? Yes, I did because I played 150, but I only made half of my money back. Thanks, Squirrel.
Yeah,
no,
bad.
I'm just kidding. Do you like Henley over Trevor Williams as a cheap pitcher today, Squirrel?
Especially for the savings, yeah. So definitely talking DraftKings here because Henley's not on FanDuel. But yeah, I don't know. I would go with the savings and go with Henley.
All right, I think that'll do it. We are coming up to lock right now. We have no more questions. Good luck today, everyone, in all of your tournaments, all of your cash games, all of your contests. We will see you tomorrow for some more MLB content. On behalf of myself, Squirrel, Taylor, Steve behind the scenes, you have been crunched.